Welcome to another episode of the IBC Guys. I am one of those guys. My name is Dave. The other guy is here with us. His name is Mike. We're excited to bring you another good episode today. Um, we just recorded one, so I've used all my witty quips and funny anecdotes already. I don't have anything left, Mike. So we'll just say hi and we'll move forward. I will say that we have, unless you got one, you got a joke you want to tell. You're gonna make a theme
No,
song out. That was last episode. Have you come up with a theme song since we last talked?
I will not be doing a theme song.
Yeah. All right. Well, the topic today are buy-sell agreements. So I had no knowledge of what these were until I started working with Mike, but they can be very, very beneficial for a business. So if you own a business or you're looking to get into that space, this is something you're going to want to tune into. And more than likely, if you don't own a business, you likely know someone who does, and this could be very beneficial for them as well. So that's going to be the topic of our discussion today, our buy-sell agreements. But let me get into the podcast stuff here. We do exist for three reasons. The first is to give you information on IBC, how it can be used, what it looks like. So therefore, you can make the decision for your family. What's best? Do I do it? Do I not do it? Either way, we're happy with as long as you have the knowledge. Second is to provide you tangible examples that can be implemented. That's another example in our topic today, a buy-sell agreement. We'll get into that, but it can absolutely be leveraged through IBC in a whole life policy in making sure that your business remains stable through change. And then the third thing is we want to get this information out to as many people as we can. So if you would like, subscribe, share, get it out there, have other people have access to it, introduce them to it, tell them there's some crazy ding dongs talking about an idea you've never heard of. Give us a shot. You can even introduce it like that. We're cool with that. But if you would just get it spread around and we'd be happy to talk with whomever we can. So we do have a phone number, 507-205-2284. My email is Dave at familybakingsolutions.com. And Mike's is Mike at familybakingsolutions.com. Just a quick encouragement. If you're feeling, you're waffling maybe, should I not email, should I call? I'm going to answer the question for you. The answer is yes, you should. We're pretty normal dudes. Mike's a little more normal than I am, but I qualify myself in that realm as normal and be happy to talk with you. We'd love to have a discussion. And the question is not, can IBC be used in my life? The answer is yes, it can. And the question then is how? And we love to talk through those things, putting those puzzle pieces together. How can you leverage it from a small policy, $100 a month, to a big one? Talking with someone who wants to leverage $100,000 a year to go buy a second home on the water, anywhere in between. We'd love to talk with you. And I think I'll speak for Mike. I'll say it as well. In my experience, the most fun that we have are putting little policies together for kids that are young. And I say kids because I'm getting old, but like 20-some-year-olds running $150 a month through their policy. You give that thing 50 years when they're retired at 75, it's going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars for the discipline they started now. So sorry, Mike, long introduction, but I get passionate, man. I can't help it. So
I like it.
back to topic, buy sell agreements. If you would kind of introduce what a buy sell agreement is, and then we'll talk through it a little bit. So what is a buy sell agreement?
So a buy-sell agreement is basically set up via a contract. Another example where you need an attorney to do this, and neither Dave nor I are one. But it's basically a legal document set up that if something should happen to one of the partners in the company. So let's kind of lay out an example here of, let's say you and I own a business together and we've been building this thing, and let's say the value of the company, and this is something that you want to have a professional company come in and evaluate the company.
Can I
But
pause
let's
right there?
just say the company.
We have resources to help people do that. So a couple of phone calls and we can help people do that through the insurance companies as well as the connections that we have. That can be done for you. So if you're looking for an evaluation, there's your reason to call or email right there. So it's free of charge. We will help you get that done, but it needs to be done as a precursor to the buy sell. So I wanted to throw that out there, Mike. I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah, you wanna have an appraisal done unless you guys can, unless we both agree on whatever. But it's good to have it professionally done. But so let's say our company was valued at $2 million. Okay, well, most companies that you have, say two partners in, the spouses of those two partners probably have very little knowledge of the
Yeah.
day-to-day workings of the company, nor do they have really desire to
Yes.
become involved in that company, in that business. And more so, the partners don't have any desire of their buddy's partner's spouse coming
I
involved. But
think
here's
that may
typically
be
what happens is so this company's cruising along and we're building this thing and we're having a great time, and then one of us dies.
Mhm.
Tragically, one of us dies, and now that spouse owns half of that company.
50%.
Now, again, you don't want her involved in the day-to-day operation of that company. She
Yeah.
doesn't want to be involved on a day-to-day basis. What typically she wants her $1 million. Like, buy me out. I never liked you in the first place, but my husband spent, whatever many years building this thing, and now I want my money. And the other partner would love to buy her out and own it and control it all on his own. The big problem is what?
$1 million.
$1 million to make her walk away. So what a buy sell agreement is basically this: you evaluate the company, you have it appraised, you have it legally done to where, okay, this company is worth $2 million. We're partners, so we own 50-50. So again, my part would be 1 million, your part would be 1 million. What a buy sell agreement would do is I would take out an insurance policy on you for $1 million. You would take out an insurance policy on me for $1 million. And then we would have a contract, hence the buy sell agreement. We would have it in that contract that basically said that, Dave, if you die, that $1 million contract or the life insurance policy is paid to me tax free. And then in that contract that's my $1 million to then go and buy your wife out of 50% of the business. It makes her whole, and vice versa should I die. And again, why is there an agreement? Because the agreement is the last thing you want is, okay, you die, and then your spouse is coming to me saying, well, this isn't worth this company's worth $10 million. It's not worth $2 million. I want $5 million. Okay. So then you get into all that. So the agreement basically states it, and it's right to the dollar. It's like the company is worth $2 million. Should you die, your part is $1 million. You are basically agreeing to walk away to sell your half of the company to the other partner for that $1 million. The death benefit that I had taken out the contract on you, the life insurance policy on you, that's paid to me, then I'm agreeing that that's going to go. I mean, it's basically all set up in the contract to dissolve that side or buy that partner out of the partnership, when the other partner then would own 100% of the company, control 100% of the company, which is what that surviving partner would want. And 99 times out of 100 is what the spouse of the deceased
Yeah.
partner would want. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to be involved in it. Yes, every once in a while you have the, oh, I could run this way better than now. Now I have 50% control, and then there's just constant arguments and
Yeah.
whatever. And no one really wants that. So the other advantage of having this buy-sell agreement put in place is that that doesn't that doesn't give her a choice or him a choice to say, well, you know what, you don't need to pay me the I want to stay on and I want to be a
Yeah.
partner. So again, it's all set up, it's all in a contract, it's all done ahead of time that should something happen to either partner, we're dissolving that partnership. The surviving partner is going to own and control 100% of the company, and the widow or widower or the spouse of the deceased partner, man or woman, is agreeing that they will be paid in cash from the other partner this amount. So now you set that up on, let's say, an evaluation of or evaluation of the company of $2 million. Well, as the company, hopefully we're building this company is growing over time. You want it in there in that contract, in that agreement. Again, your attorney can help you set this up. But every few years, every 5 years, every year that it is needed, something happens like, whoa, our company just like tripled overnight. Then you want to come and revisit that and say, okay, now the company is worth $6 million and not two. Now we want to we need to up our insurance to
Yeah.
cover this. And we take out a $3 million policy on each other, or an additional policy for the remaining 2 million because the 1 million is already in place, or what have you. So that's basically the nuts and bolts of a buy-sell agreement. It just protects the company, the business, the partnership, the partners from all the issues that could come up if one of the other partners were to die unexpectedly. So, or even unexpectedly. I mean, you could set this up if you guys are, both partners are 80 years old and, my kids are going to get this when I, die. I mean, it doesn't matter necessarily the age, but it protects what happens to the partnership, to the company, if and when the other partner dies, one of the partners dies.
Well, it's my understanding that these are fairly common. Would you agree with that statement or not?
That the buy sells are very common.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, if I'm talking with someone that has a business, and it doesn't have to be, it can be two partners, three partners, 10 partners. It doesn't matter. And then you get into where, instead of, let's say there's 10 partners and, one person owning 9 individual contracts and whatever. I mean, the company itself, can be the owner and the payer and own the contracts. And, it can get complex in a hurry, but it's very common. And if someone has a business that I am dealing with, a client that I'm dealing with, I mean, normally they come to me for their personal banking system, but obviously that spills into, how you can start recouping all those things through your cash flow system, through your business. And when you get into the nuts and bolts of the business, then I realize that there's other owners involved and there's not a buy sell agreement. That's absolutely the first thing that's discussed is like, you need to take a look at this.
I asked that question because I had not heard of it. I mean, my bad. I formerly trained and extensively trained in the education world. There's not a lot of buy sell agreements there. So I wanted to make sure that was communicated for people that may not have heard of it before. One, it's okay, but two, these are very common in the business world, these buy sell agreements. So it's not a one off, crazy idea that Mike's talking about here. They're very common. The second thing I kind of want to bring up to make sure it's communicated to the people listening and watching, Mike, is this idea sounds great and grand and all that, but the logistics may scare people off. And I kind of already referred to it. The first thing you mentioned was getting your company get an appraisal, a value appraisal. We have resources to help with that. Professionals. I just sat through a seminar on how that works, and it's free of cost to people who work with certain insurance companies. We are part of those insurance companies. We can help with those things, and it's free of cost to you and your business. But an attorney, we have connections with attorneys. Oftentimes, it's prorated because we're working with certain people and wealth management firms and insurance companies and things like that. So it wouldn't be go do a buy sell agreement. We'll get you the policy, and you got to take care of everything else. Mike and Dave will help you with the logistics of, all right, here's what needs to happen. Here's what needs to happen next. Here's someone to call. Didn't like that person. Great. Here's another person. And we can help organize the pieces that need to be put in place to make that happen. So anything you want to expand on that, Mike?
Yeah, and sometimes I've seen it where, two partners, lifelong buddies, went to college together. They go out and they start this business and they build this company, and they're the absolute best of friends. But again, when you get into money,
Yeah.
people tend to get a little crazy.
Wonky.
And when you start thinking about, wow, something happens to me, I want my wife and kids taken care of. And Dave, I think this company is worth $4 million. I don't think it's worth $2 million. I think it's worth $4 million. Which at that point I'd be like, okay, well, if you think it's worth $4 million, I think it's worth two. Why don't you just buy me out right now?
Yeah, that's fair.
But so a lot of times when you talk about, well, I don't need to hire a professional appraiser to do an evaluation, and I not evaluation, valuation, putting a value on the company. But that's what the appraiser does, is come in and does a valuation on what this company is worth from a professional standpoint. This is what these people do all day, every day. So it's a nice way to kind of take away any maybe disagreement, however intense that might be between the partners, to say, okay, well, you think it's worth this, I think it's worth this based on these things. Let's just bring in an outside, independent, unbiased company and have them do this appraisal or this valuation. And whatever they say that's going to be, Dave, let's you and I agree that, okay, they're the professionals. And whatever that is, if they say it's $2 million, and we're going to go with that $2 million, and then we're going to set up our buy sell agreement and our insurance policies based on that. And we can do another one down the road if need be, but it's a nice way to bring in a third party to do a professional appraisal and kind of take away the disagreements, if you will, between partners. So again, that's something that some of these insurance companies do, is they provide legal services, as Dave mentioned. They bring in professional appraisers. It's just an easy way to get those things done with no cost to the client.
So I kind of wanted to establish the first two things. The buy sell agreements are common. Two, we can help with logistics. The third thing that came to mind as you were talking, and it's implied very firmly, but I wanted to not just have people infer, but I wanted to articulate it as clearly as I can. The $1 million buyout, to use your example, two partners, $2 million valuation, one partner dies, $1 million is owed to the living partner. That living partner would not have to, or that dying partner of the business, whomever's paying for it, does not have to put $1 million in to have that $1 million paid out. So over the course of the life insurance policy itself, you're not going to pay $1 million to have the $1 million given to the surviving beneficiary. So I wanted to make sure that's implicit. It's another way to have your money work for you while at the same time keeping your money safe in case change happens unexpectedly. So would you want to expand on that, Mike? Correct any of that? I just wanted to try and make it implicitly clear that's something that's part of this as well.
Yeah, when we set up, I think most people by now are familiar. When we set up an IBC policy to do some family banking, to do our cash flow system through one of these whole life policies, I mean, to set up a policy that has a death benefit of $1 million may only cost few hundred, few $1,000s a year to put in. If you're
Mhm.
building a whole life policy, when we design these things for IBC, again, I mean, they're pretty much fully capitalized in the first 4 years, to where you may only put in, you know, I mean, let's say $1 million policy is going to be, say, 5,000 a year, and you put that in for 4 years, and we're not talking about paid up additions here. We're getting into the weeds, but I mean, let's just say for $20,000, you could set this thing up. And again, depending on a lot of different parameters here, I'm just
Sure.
throwing it out here, but I mean, for a few $1,000s, you get this thing set up. Not only do you have a banking system, a cash flow system for your company or for you personally, should you choose to own this yourself versus the company, own the policy on the other partner. But yeah, so when Dave says $1 million death benefit, that doesn't mean you're putting $1 million of capital into this thing. It's a few $1,000s, or say $10,000, $20,000. It'll self-fund, and that thing will be in place when that partner dies, be it unexpectedly in the next year or two or 50 years down the road. That contract is going to be in place.
Well, if people are watching on YouTube, they can see my wry smile because you are very good at stealing my thunder. Because that's exactly where I was headed next, Mike. Is that you can have your cake and eat it too with these things. In other words, the buy sell can be used to do a cash flow system. So it can have dual purpose in it. You can leverage this thing just like we've talked about IBC across all these other episodes. But this is specifically put in place for this designated reason. But then there's the cash flow aspect to it as well. So you're just smarter than I am. It takes me a long time to get there and articulating it out. You jump there and nail it.
Whatever.
So I I don't think people can
Whatever.
argue. You can't argue. We
This
have
is just one component of the whole IBC system. Is you need to declare a beneficiary, and in our previous podcast that we just did, where we're talking about that beneficiary being a family trust, this is just simply the same type of cash flow system, only the beneficiary isn't a trust or your children. The beneficiary happens to be the deceased partner's spouse. That's already predetermined in the contract, hence the buy-sell agreement. That's going to go to her tax-free, and then it's up to, I say her. I'm using this example in my mind as you and I part. It could be two ladies that have some
sure
cosmetic
agreement place.
company or
Yeah.
whatever,
Sure.
construction company. Two ladies that have a construction company.
Hey,
There
I'm
we
sure
go.
it's out there, and I would
And
love to meet those
their
people.
husbands have no idea how to run a construction company. There we go. I've satisfied all the people that are going to hate me from being
Oh, stop.
using the men as the example. But yeah, it's just a change of beneficiary is all it is. But yeah, the IBC, the banking system, the cash flow system, all the benefits. We're really just talking about the end game here on
Yeah.
the death benefit designation for the beneficiary.
Well, I want to bring up, we say this all the time. It's not if IBC can fit into what you're doing, it's how. And I think this is a very good example of how. This is in place for a designated specific reason in a buy sell agreement. But it can fit in for a trust. It can fit in for legacy wealth. It can fit into leverage buying land in your land business. I mean, that's what we do. The fun part is to figure out how it does, and that's what we enjoy doing. So I don't know. We have millions of listeners, Mike, that agree that you are a smart individual and lay these things out.
Millions,
Well, that's last I heard.
millions of listeners.
Maybe it's smaller than that, but it could be bigger.
I'm
I don't
I'm
know.
pretty
Maybe it's
sure it's
10.
small.
You think so? Okay. Well, all that
I'm
to
pretty
say, buy
sure.
sell agreements are something that are common. If that is of interest to you, give us a shout. Dave at familybakingSolutions.com, Mike at familybakingSolutions.com. We would love to put you in contact with the resources that we have to help talk you through what that would look like for you and a business partner or business partners. If you have something else in your company, I mean, these things can be leveraged all over the place. I don't remember if I mentioned it. I think I was just talking to Mike. I was talking to a lady. She has a policy. It's 20 years old at this point, but her exact numbers, and I haven't verified them, but she's very astute in IBC. She said, I put $7,000 in for one specific policy this year. It's the 21st year of the policy. I put $7,000 in on my anniversary date, and I was able to withdraw just over $24,000. So I put for every dollar I put in, it was what $3 and some odd cents that I could take out because of the uninterrupted exponential growth that these things see. So not only if you do a buy sell agreement, bringing this back, you're going to grow your money as you do it. And then when someone passes away, it's not an if, it's a when. That settlement's already in place. It takes a lot of the guesswork, the emotion out of it. The dominoes start to fall, and everybody gets what has been designated to them already. So it's just a great thing to have in place. So, Mike, I just kind of summed it up. Do you have anything else for the good of the cause for buy sell agreements?
Yeah, one of the thing that I should throw out there. So when you're thinking about a buy sell agreement, you don't necessarily have to think about a company per se or a partnership or an
Okay.
LLC or whatever. Um, I had a discussion with a client of mine on doing this on a lake home. So again, longtime college buddies or whatever, they had bought this lake home, two families together, and I'm not sure whether they, go to the lake um, at the same time, or like you use it this weekend, I'll use it
Sure.
next weekend, but whatever, it doesn't matter. But they have kind of this joint asset that they own together. Then the discussion comes up like, what if something happens? Uh, you know, Again, let's say this is you and me. I'm using
Yeah.
the men as the buddies here. You and I, and then uh, something happens to me, and I'm sure my wife would immediately remarry somebody much smarter and much better looking and much wealthier, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you're like, dude, I don't want to go to the lake with this guy. I don't even like
Uh,
this guy, or may not like this guy. You're probably going to like him way better, but you know what I
yeah.
mean. There's other dynamics that happen. Uh, the buy sell agreement could be very simple, like on a lake home. So we bought this lake home for whatever, $400,000. We each threw in 200. That, okay, if something happens to one of us, then you take out a life insurance policy on me for 200,000. Vice versa, I do the same thing. And then here's our agreement that we make. The wives, you and I and the wives all sign off on it, that should one of us die unexpectedly, this life insurance policy is going to pay me $200,000 tax free upon your death. That I'm immediately going to turn around and buy Jess out of that property, and I'm going to own the whole thing. So again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a business. It can be a property, a vacation
Sure.
home, an airplane, whatever it is, something that you're going to go in and buy with another individual. It's just a nice exit strategy that everyone agrees on.
Well, two thoughts come up. First, what lake are we getting it on? That's the first question. Our lake house, Mike. What lake are we getting it on? So we'll have to make that decision because I love that idea. Second, it's another example of how IBC fits in, not if, how. So I think it's a great point to bring up. I always think of it in terms of business, but that may be too narrow-minded, and I need to expand my horizons a little bit. To your point, it can be done on, let's say, a farm. I mean, I have a buddy we're working farm stuff with, seed and equipment, and well, the farm itself needs to be bought or sold if something happens to a partner. That can be put in place. So there's a lot of different avenues that these things can be leveraged. So let's get creative. If you give us a call, we'll be happy to do that with you. Start, if you're listening, start thinking in your own mind how you could use these things. There's an asset you want to buy. I have a friend who does. He owns the lake house in a pontoon boat, and I think the truck that tows the boat, all together with two of his brothers. Who knows if they have a buy sell agreement in place, but it would be very handy in case something happens that everything's set in place and it's already established. So a wife or one of the other brothers doesn't have to be, the executive of a will or something like that. It's all set in place and ready to go. So I appreciate you sharing that, Mike. Anything else? I asked you last time and you gave us a golden nugget. You have anything else for the good of the cause? You have another golden nugget
I'm
in there?
good.
You good? Okay. Well, if you would give us a shout, Dave at familybakingsolutions.com, Mike at familybakingsolutions.com, 507-205-2284. We would love to talk with you about anything. Go back and listen to some past episodes. We got some good ones back there. If you have an idea for a future one, send that to us. We got a couple good things in the hopper and the holster ready to go. So we'll get those out. But if you have an idea, shoot those to us as well. Mike, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for jumping in on another episode today. And we'll catch everybody on the next one.